So this is now I'll be talking about the Kling and Horwitz technique and this is an important technique for the central pawn and the bishop pawn. So these two central pawn or the bishop pawn. And first we'll talk about the central pawn. Now before that, let's look at what happens if the situation is swapped. If this was the situation, in this situation, any color plays, it's winning for white. So let's say first white. So this is like easy because checkmate threatened and you win the rook. And so let's see what if it's black to move first. So first black goes here, then king would go either here or here. Let's say first goes here. Same thing for the any piece. Now if the king goes here, now this is the situation where the king is on the long side and the rook is on the short side, and this in this case it is winning when we get to the Lucina position. So king would generally not go to here. If this is the case, then it's easily winning because you just get the king or push the pawn like going here, or first we go there to defend the king, and then if the king goes here, you just place the rook here, king goes here, then just to do this, and no, you just take the rook basically, so king won't go there. So after this rook would move, then we play here. If rook here, then goes here, and next you just push the pawn, and that's the case when the king is on the long side of the board and the rook doesn't have any checks. And so that's why this king wouldn't go here. King would go to, where was this? Yeah, to f8. In this situation, king would go to the left, right side, sorry. And in this case, we give this check. And if this was played, then we just go here. And next move, we are just going to play this and push the pawn. And so if the king won't go here, let's say king goes here, and now we have successfully separated the king from the pawn, and it's an easy win because the king will not help the rook to stop the pawn from promoting, and it's a win. And so that's why this position is a win for white. But if the position is swapped, for example this is the situation, then it's a draw using the technique, Kling and Horwitz technique. And yeah. Now let's look at this position where the rook is here and the king is here. And so first we can't reach the Philidor position with black because this third rank or whatever is controlled by this pawn, or this square is controlled by the pawn, and so the rook can't go here because the pawn just takes. And so since we can't do the Philidor technique, you might say that then it's not a draw, but it is, because there's one more technique called the Kling and Horwitz technique, and let's see how it's played done. So first we play rook f1, and after let's say king e6, we just go here with the king, and so that's not enough of a challenge. So let's say king goes here, rook gives a check, king goes here, and then rook has to go back, and this is basically a draw because we can just repeat with every, for example, if king goes here, then we can just keep checking the king, and if king goes here, we just go back with the rook, because after the check king won't go to here because the rook would be hanging, and so the king would have to go back. And so that's why this position is a draw. And so king won't go to e6. After rook f1, king would go to d6, and now we shouldn't play this check from the back. Not play this because after king goes to e6, we go here. Now it's not too bad, but this time the king is able to go here, and once the king goes here and we go back, now the pawn can push, and this is not a draw because the pawn will control this square, this check, and then yeah, so this would be an easy win, because after this the rook would slide here and protect one of the go here, and then the king goes here, and then the pawn would advance easily, and so that's why that is not the right move, and so that's why we shouldn't give a check on d1. We should play this move. This move is the Kling and Horwitz move technique. We are keeping an eye on this pawn, so that whenever the king goes here, so we can take it. Also, the pawn can't push, because we can just keep giving checks and the king can't leave the pawn. For example, king goes here, and this rook is not in this part of the board, so it can't block the check. And so we have basically reached the Philidor position because of white's mistake of pushing the pawn. And so after this we go to rook e1, and king goes to e6, and now king goes to f1, f8. After king goes to f8, this is a draw, because if rook goes here, we go here, and after that we play this move, and so we play a waiting move with the rook, and if the rook gives a check, we can just go back, and if the rook gives again a check, we go here, and so yeah, that's why this is a draw. So that's why king f8 is a draw. Now you might wonder why not king d8. King d8 is also a draw, but it is better to stay on keep the rook on the long side of the board. So the pawn, as I talked in the previous video, where the pawn is here and this is the long side, this is the short side of the board. So the rook has to be on the long side and the king has to be on the short side. So the king has to be on f8 rather than on d8. It's still a draw. For example, let's see king d8, rook gives a check, king goes to c7, king goes to f6, and king d7, rook goes here, we go back. So this is still a draw, but it is more advisable to go to king to f8, because if in case the Lucena position happens because of some mistake by black, the king would be on the short side. For example, this is the situation, and then we can just keep giving checks with the rook, and it would be a draw. Even if the pawn gets to advance to the 7th rank, this would still be a draw because the king is on the short side. So it's better to keep it that way and play king to f8. Where's the pawn here? King to f8, and rook goes here. So instead of king to d8. King to d8 also okay, it's fine, but it's specific to this position, that's why it's okay to play king to f8, king to d8. But king to f8 is the preferable move, and it's easier to remember king on the short side, rook on the long side. So that's why king f8 is the correct move.